Barcelona's summer is becoming absolutely dramatic. Just when young talent Dani Rodriguez was finally close to returning from injury, the Barca wonderkid has suffered a devastating relapse that could keep him out for several more weeks. It's another painful setback for one of the club's brightest young stars. But that's only the beginning. Carlo Ancelotti may have accidentally given Barcelona a massive transfer advantage after leaving Chelsea forward Joao Pedro out of Brazil's World Cup squad, a decision that could now lower the player's market value and open the door for Barca to strike. And in an even more shocking twist, Jose Mourinho reportedly wants Inter Milan superstar Alessandro Bastoni to become the new defensive leader of Real Madrid. Meanwhile, Barcelona have suddenly backed away from the deal completely after Hansi Flick made a major internal decision involving rising youngster Gerard Martin. Can Joao Pedro become Barcelona's next big attacking star? Did Barca make a huge mistake by abandoning the Bastoni transfer? And can Mourinho build another dominant Real Madrid defense around the Italian defender? Stay tuned because this transfer saga is getting crazier by the day. Barcelona prodigy suffers devastating relapse during recovery, out for about 5 more weeks. Barcelona youngster Dani Rodriguez has suffered a major setback in his recovery after relapsing from his injury just when his return to action appeared to be around the corner. According to reports from Sport, the young winger will now remain sidelined for another 3 to 5 weeks after experiencing fresh discomfort during the final phase of his rehabilitation process. The news comes as a heavy blow for both the player and the club, especially considering the positive progress he had been making in recent days. His return was near. As per the outlet, Dani had already returned to working on the pitch and was building rhythm and confidence step by step. There was growing optimism that he would soon rejoin full group training after months on the sidelines. However, just when everything seemed to be moving in the right direction, the setback arrived. Barcelona's medical staff immediately chose to slow things down and take a cautious approach after the discomfort returned. The club do not want to risk worsening the injury by rushing the youngster back too early. The attacker has already endured a frustrating few months after suffering a partial tear of his quadriceps tendon during a match against UD Barbastro back in February. At the time, there were fears regarding possible ligament damage, but more serious problems such as ACL injuries were thankfully ruled out. Even so, the rehabilitation process has proven longer and more complicated than initially expected. Barcelona need to protect Dani Rodriguez. For a young player trying to establish himself, setbacks like these can be mentally exhausting. Dani Rodriguez had finally started to see light at the end of the tunnel after months of recovery work, only for his body to force another pause at the worst possible moment, which is why Barcelona's cautious reaction makes complete sense. The club has increasingly shown in recent years that they want to protect young talents rather than gamble with short-term returns. With players expected to handle intense physical demands at a very young age, rushing recoveries can easily create long-term problems. This is why patience will be required again at least for another 3 to 5 weeks. How Carlo Ancelotti may have just handed Barcelona a huge transfer advantage. Barcelona may have just received an unexpected advantage in their pursuit of Joao Pedro after Carlo Ancelotti made the surprising decision to leave the forward out of Brazil's World Cup squad. According to Sport, the situation surrounding the Chelsea attacker has now changed significantly, particularly from a transfer market perspective. It is known that Barcelona had already been keeping a close eye on the Brazilian forward, with sporting director Deco identifying him as one of the attacking options under consideration for the future. Notably, initial contact has already taken place between Barcelona and the player's representatives. During those conversations, Barca communicated their interest while also trying to understand whether Joao Pedro would be open to a move to Spotify Camp Nou. The response appears to have been positive enough for the club to continue monitoring the situation carefully. Chelsea were previously unwilling to entertain any serious movement regarding the Brazilian attacker before or during the World Cup. The Premier League club believed the tournament could significantly increase the player's market value, especially given his previous performances on major international stages. At the London club, there was confidence that a strong World Cup campaign could push Joao Pedro's valuation even higher, potentially strengthening Chelsea's position in future negotiations. However, Ancelotti's decision to exclude the player from Brazil's final squad has completely altered those plans. Without the exposure and spotlight of the World Cup, Chelsea lose a major opportunity to inflate the player's price through international performances. As a result, Barcelona could now find themselves in a more favorable negotiating position if they decide to intensify their interest. Joao Pedro fits exactly what Barcelona want. From a sporting perspective, Joao Pedro makes a lot of sense for Barcelona's long-term project under Hansi Flick. The Brazilian forward offers mobility, technical quality, versatility across the front line, and the ability to operate both centrally and in wider attacking roles. More importantly, the player still has room to develop, and that factor is extremely important for Barcelona's recruitment strategy. The club is no longer in a position to spend massive money recklessly, which means any major investment must combine immediate impact with future growth potential. Jose Mourinho wants Barcelona priority target as Real Madrid's next defensive leader. Real Madrid could be preparing one of the biggest transfer hijacks of the summer after reports claimed that Jose Mourinho wants Alessandro Bastoni as a key defensive signing for next season. According to a major update from Miguel Serrano, as relayed by Madrid Zone, the Inter Milan defender has emerged as Mourinho's preferred option to strengthen Real Madrid's backline ahead of what is expected to be a major rebuild in defense. The situation becomes even more interesting because Bastoni has been strongly linked with Barcelona in recent months. The Catalan side had identified the Italian international as an ideal left-sided centre-back for Hansi Flick's tactical system before financial complications slowed the operation significantly. Now, Real Madrid could attempt to completely change the direction of the story. Mourinho likes Bastoni. Mourinho feels Los Blancos need multiple defensive reinforcements this summer after a season where the centre-back department showed clear weaknesses. Even before officially taking charge at the Santiago Bernabéu, the Portuguese coach is already said to be heavily involved in transfer planning behind the scenes. And among all available options in the market, Bastoni appears to be the name Mourinho values most highly. The Italian defender is widely regarded as one of the best ball-playing centre-backs in European football, and for Real Madrid, signing a defender of that level would strengthen an area that has caused many problems this season. Furthermore, the added bonus, from Madrid's perspective, is obvious. Taking a priority defensive target away from Barcelona would make the operation even more satisfying inside the Spanish capital. Can Bastoni transform Mourinho's Real Madrid? Once Mourinho returns to Real Madrid, defensive control will almost certainly become one of the biggest foundations of his new project. Throughout his managerial career, the Portuguese coach has always built successful teams around strong, reliable defenders capable of dominating physically and tactically. That is exactly why the Bastoni Real Madrid transfer story makes so much sense. The Italian international is entering the prime years of his career and already possesses the experience of competing at the highest level. For Real Madrid, that profile and experience are extremely valuable. Barcelona pull out of blockbuster defender deal after internal discussions, report. Barcelona have decided to completely freeze their pursuit of Alessandro Bastoni after internal discussions regarding the club's defensive planning for next season. According to Sport, the transfer operation involving the Inter Milan defender has now lost momentum to the point where the player is no longer considered a priority target at Camp Nou. For weeks, Bastoni had been viewed as one of the ideal profiles to strengthen Hansi Flick's defensive structure. Reports suggest that sporting director Deco even explored different financial formulas to make a potential Barcelona transfer possible despite the club's economic limitations. However, the situation has now changed dramatically. What's the story? The main reason behind Barcelona stepping away from the Bastoni deal appears to be the rise of Gerard Martin. According to the outlet, the young defender's recent performances as a left-sided centre-back have convinced both Flick and Deco that the club may already possess a reliable solution for that position. As a result, Barcelona have decided not to prioritize a major investment in Bastoni this summer, even though the club will continue searching for defensive reinforcements in the transfer market. Reports suggest that Alessandro Bastoni was genuinely interested in the idea of joining Barcelona and viewed the move as an exciting opportunity for his career. Inter Milan were even preparing for the possibility of losing the defender by exploring other options in the transfer market. However, the biggest problem was always financial. Inter reportedly wanted at least €70 million for the Italian centre-back, and Barcelona simply do not believe they can afford such a huge investment under their current economic situation. Another major reason behind Barcelona stepping away from the deal is the rise of Gerard Martin. Hansi Flick and the club's management have been impressed by the youngster's development and now believe he could become an important solution for the left side of the defense. Instead of spending massive money on a new centre-back, Barcelona are focusing more on trusting young players already at the club and improving the squad through internal development. Gerard Martin's performances and understanding of Barca's playing style have clearly influenced the club's transfer plans. At the moment, Barcelona want to avoid unnecessary spending and only invest in signings they believe are absolutely essential for the team's future. Barcelona are clearly entering a new chapter under Hansi Flick. One focused on patience, youth development and smarter financial decisions. The club's careful handling of Dani Rodriguez's recovery shows that Barca no longer want to risk the future of their young talents for short-term results. Even though the injury setback is frustrating, protecting the youngster remains the top priority. At the same time, the Joao Pedro situation could become a huge opportunity for Barcelona. After Carlo Ancelotti's surprising Brazil decision, Chelsea may now struggle to raise the attacker's value, giving Barca a much stronger position if they decide to move seriously for the Brazilian forward. Meanwhile, the Alessandro Bastoni saga has completely changed direction. While Mourinho dreams of making the Italian defender the heart of Real Madrid's new defense, Barcelona have chosen to trust internal solutions instead, especially after Gerard Martin's impressive rise. The big question now is simple. Will Barcelona regret walking away from Bastoni? Can Joao Pedro become the future of Barca's attack? And is Mourinho preparing another dominant Real Madrid era? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for the latest Barcelona and Real Madrid transfer news every single day.